What's going on, HPP fam? I'm JD, and I know the lighting's a little awkward right now, but I'm sitting in the passenger seat of Boo. Boo is mine / the shop's 2017 Dodge Charger Daytona 5.7 liter. And the reason I wanted to make this video is I've been pretty secretive, I guess, if you will, about the car, unless you know me really well, or you've come up to the shop and kind of asked me about the car. But I wanted to make this video to kind of go over the car, and as you can see by the title of this video, this is one way to build a 5.7 liter Hemi to upset people, and do it on a budget in comparison to having to go buy a Hellcat or one of the Hellcat variants in order to have a 600 plus reliably built car from the factory. This is a way you can do it without spending all that money, because even now with the economy the way it is, you're still spending 40K plus on a 2015 Hellcat. So one thing that does kind of bug me is a lot of guys harp on that, like, why buy a Hellcat when I can build a Scat and make it faster than a Hellcat? But nobody talks really much about buying a 5.7 and building it to beat a Hellcat. But that's not why I built the car. You know, a high PSI performance. We build a lot of Hemis, so that's our bread and butter. And I love all Hemi cars. I love all cars. I'm non-denominational. I like Mustangs and I like Corvettes, and I like them all. I think all cars have their place. So with that being said, I wanted to personally buy a 5.7 so that way I could show people that it can be done, and it can be done on a pretty reasonable budget. Now, I know it's not really fair to say, well, you own a shop, so you don't pay any labor, and that's true. I do all the work myself. I do the tuning myself, so there is a ton of cost savings there. But with that being said, a lot of this stuff you can do yourself these days. There is, as we like to call, YouTube University for you guys to learn stuff. So maybe like the bigger stuff, like the engine building, yeah, take it to a shop. And the tuning, yeah, take it to a shop. But we're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars. We're not talking about tens of thousands of dollars. You know what I mean? Let's take a step back, take a look at Boo. I'm going to start going over everything that I've done to this 2017 5.7 liter Hemi. And then at the end of the video, we'll kind of go over everything one last time, and I'll show some pricing and stuff, and show you that you can build a pretty nasty car for under 10 grand. I think that's where the budget is right now, somewhere around in there, under 10 grand. But I haven't even crunched the numbers myself yet, so let's dive into it and see where we end up. So guys, this is Boo, 2017 Dodge Charger Daytona edition. I purchased this car about 7 months ago with about 72,000 miles on it, and I paid $16,500 cash out the door for this car. Now you might tell there's a few things that aren't really stock, such as the front end on this car. It's got the newer front end on it, the non-wide body front end. So that's one thing that's apparently different. And then really that's where the abnormalities from any other 2017 Daytona end. There's really not any other things that are dramatically different. I've gone through and I've replaced the rear valence here with a carbon one with the vortex generators. I've put in some vinyl over the rear taillight to change the shape of the taillight. What else have we done? Of course, shop stickers. I went ahead and did some custom logos on the car. We've got the boo there with the turbo coming out. We'll get to that here in a second. And then there is LED lights in the front grille, and these fog lamps are LEDs as well too. But that's it. Aesthetically, from the outside of the car, that's all that's really different. Stepping into the interior, it's your standard Daytona stuff. Nothing crazy. Let's touch on what I've done as far as performance modifications go that are visible on the interior, and that would be my AEM wideband that I put in where the air vent is, and then a Go Fast Bits V3 boost controller that I've mounted up on the dash here. Other than that, the interior is pretty much 100% stock. Haven't done anything really to the inside. So I'll light it up for you real quick so you guys can see. Boost controller, and then the wideband heating up there. AEM wideband's like $200. Go Fast Bits version V3, I want to say is just a little over 300. If I remember correctly. I'm going to just glaze over these prices, and then at the end of the video I'll give you guys exact prices on these things if you want to get them. And then give a pull here. I'm going to need it. So my pull cable is broke for the hood release. So give me a second, let me get that. Alright. Now that I've done the hokey business of getting my hood open, and there she is. So as you can see, there's quite a bit going on, and let's talk about the elephant in the room. What everybody calls an extremely large, but I say small, because there's still room. We could go bigger. Turbocharged 5.7 liter Hemi. So this turbo is a VS Racing 80mm turbo. It is an oil cooled, no water cooling. Got our exhaust pipe, comes out the side of the car right here in the front. I do have a teardrop and a beauty ring coming for it. I just haven't put those things on. So right now, just have it sticking out there. It looks good still, but I think it could look even better, so we will church that up. Running a VS Racing / Summit Racing. It's the identical one. I think they just get them all from China and then they rebrand them. 50mm blow-off valve, 3-inch charge pipes throughout the entire setup, all TIG welded and fabricated in-house by High PSI Performance. I've got the Mishimoto. I don't know if you can see it too well here. Let's see if we can't get up in there nice and tight. You can see it glistening in there a little bit. So there's a Mishimoto race intercooler, 4-inch core, and that about does it for the turbo setup. As far as injectors, I have FIC 1200cc injectors, but as you can see, it's still stock rails and stock feed line. We'll touch on that. As you can see over here, we also have a MAC valve that is for boost control. The wastegate is underneath the car, and I'll get on the ground here in a little bit, and I'll show you kind of how the piping's going for the turbocharger. But 3-bar map sensor. You got an intake air temp sensor in the pipe here. And I think that about wraps it up on the turbo side. If you want to start looking at the engine, a keen eye can notice a few more things. If we zoom in right here, if we look, what color is that? That's purple. That is not stock. And that bolt right there, that's not stock either. So a keen eye will see my block is painted purple, and there are ARP headsets holding those cylinder heads down. So let's talk about the heart of Boo. So the block is a stock as cast 5.7 liter Hemi block. However, Boo's engine is not a 5.7 liter Hemi any longer. I weighed my options when I was building the car, and I was trying to decide what would be the best route to go for longevity and my end power goal, which the end goal with the car is to be somewhere in the 1,000, maybe 1,200 horsepower realm. But for right now, we'll discuss what it makes, you know, go in stages. And so I believe this state that the car is in now is one that's achievable by most people, and so that way they can have a nice car that's still very reliable. You can daily it. I would not hesitate to drive this car across country. I put a filter on the turbo if I drove across country, so don't freak out. But I hop in this thing and I take my family to Dallas, Austin, all over the great state of Texas all the time without hesitation. I do have 2 tunes. The car is currently on E85 for those who were wondering, but it can run on pump gas as well. I wanted to build a motor that was good for those kind of power levels, and so doing a lot of Hemis that we build in the shop, most times we use BES race engines for most of our engines. However, lots of companies have been up and coming now, and companies are starting to carry stroker kits and engine kits for Hemis that didn't exist a few years ago, but they exist now. And I like to give all sorts of different companies a shot and see if their products are as good as they claim, or if they're as good as other people that are selling products, but maybe theirs are at a discounted rate or at a better cost, and it's the exact same product. So why not go with those companies? Now I know CNC Motorsports has been around for a while doing other engines, but the Hemi LX platform stuff is kind of new. So reached out, had a discussion with some people, and I ended up going with a CNC Motorsports stroker kit. So it is no longer a 5.7 liter Hemi. It is 396 cubic inches. So it is a stroker motor. You guys know Fast Track Performance in Harker Heights is who does our engine machine work. So Shannon over there at Fast Track balanced my crank, and actually a good friend of mine works over there sometimes, and gives him a hand at the shop, and he is super anal about balancing. If you know who Lucas is, cool. If you don't, cool. But appreciate you, Lucas. He took the time while he was over there to go through and balance every one of my pistons and rods for my setup, just to kind of help Shannon because he was busy that week, to keep the process moving forward. Yeah, so I got the motor assembled and put it in the car. And as far as other modifications, it did get a camshaft, it did get lifters, it did get a DOD delete, it did get a phaser lockout. I used King bearings in the build, by the way, if anybody was wondering. And Manton push rods, and Shannon also ported the cylinder heads for me. So for all that was wondering, that is the full build breakdown of the engine in Boo. 396 cubic inch, Texas speed, stage 2 camshaft, ported cylinder heads by Fast Track Performance, and all built and assembled by High PSI Performance. That is the build on Boo's engine. So now we know the turbo, we know the engine. Let's talk about the rest. Trans, stock. Converter, stock. Drive shaft, stock. As far as traction is concerned, oh, super bright. As far as traction is concerned, we got some Nitto 555s, 295, 295, 45, 20s in the rear. And then we got some 275s in the front. They're not Nittos. I don't even know what the front tires are. Anyways, I have no exhaust underneath the car just because it's coming out of the front. I took everything out of the back, extra weight, that's all gone. The last thing that I did as far as modifications are concerned that we didn't talk about is fuel, right? So we have 1200cc FIC injectors with a stock feed line. We've got a DW drop-in 400 liter per hour pump setup in the back of the car, and then I also have in the trunk wired up a Kenny Bell booster pump. And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to run E85. That is the easiest way to take one of these cars and have an adequate fuel system for around 700 horsepower. That's the easiest way to do that on E85. It's a 400 liter per hour pump, 1200cc injectors, and a Kenny Bell booster pump. So, and the car is still like, I still have everything in the trunk. This thing's not gutted. This thing is not a race car. This is a street car. It's got a full trunk. I even have a big giant subwoofer. Please excuse the mess in the trunk. Got my workout stuff, and then I went and cleaned the car this morning, so some of the car cleaning stuff is still in the back. But yeah, there's a 15-inch sub in the back, but I mean, I still got room for groceries and stuff. But yeah, the Kenny Bell booster pump's back there. Let me fire it up for you guys and do a quick walk around, and then yeah, I'll go ahead and go back to the house. I'll tally everything up, and I'll put a breakdown at the end of this video of what everything cost, the cost of the car, the cost of all the parts, and then yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the build breakdown on Boo. I've been enjoying the car a lot, and I look forward to building more setups like this with 5.7s. I believe that's kind of a market that's been untapped. I think these 5.7 guys don't think they can make big power, and I'm here to tell you that you can. But yeah, this is Boo, guys, for all that was interested and wanted to know what was done. If you don't know, now you know. So guys, I wanted to go over the list real quick, and here's basically Boo's breakdown as it goes. $16,500 for the car, $2,500 for the turbo kit, $60 for the blow-off valve, $120 for the piping, $1,200 for the FICs, $300 for the boost controller, $200 for the wideband, $2,500 for the stroker kit from CNC Motorsports, $400 for the ARP bolts, $100 for the camshaft, and $400 for the booster pump, bringing our grand total to $25,980. And if we take out the price of the car, $16,500, it brings our total, give or take some, because I'm not using exact numbers, but our total build cost is $9,000 in parts, is $9,480 to build what you guys see, a 719 horsepower monster.